Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stacking Stupid video chat. So today I wanted to talk about game theory. So game theory is Nash, Princeton. Most of you guys have, probably loosely affiliated with it. But I want to talk how we're missing. Okay, we're missing it right now. And I'm really actually maybe give context. I'm talking mostly in our economic vision, because like if you think about your life, there's no part of it that isn't like affected by the concept of economics. Getting things you need, and how are you going to get the value to trade for those things? Okay. So game theory. All right. So I think we've really lost our way here, and a lot of it is. It's kind of understandable from the person's perspective, from a person's perspective. But what is not understandable is why we as a civilization, as a culture, tolerate it, at least from my point of view. So little recap of what game theory is. Okay, so basically there's two styles of games, and game it means just like any kind of encounter or task where you're competitively up against somebody else for some goal. Okay, so not game. I mean, it is actually applicable to like Monopoly, but it's also applicable to any time where there's two forces, competing for an outcome. Okay, so there's two kinds. There's a finite and an infinite. Finite is one that has a specific winner. Okay, so Monopoly. Okay, we play the game, blah, 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 and I win. Okay, and then you have the infinite, which would be like if there was no winner. Okay, life is a great infinite one. Okay, so no matter what you did today, tomorrow you're going to wake up and there's something else to do. Okay, so you didn't win the game of life. All right, so what we keep getting wrong, or at least what I keep observing, particularly in corporate America, is we keep playing these finite games, okay? And it does make sense from a stock point of view and from an investor point of view. So if I'm investing in your game, I want to win, which means get a good return on my money. The second that looks like it's becoming a bad investment, I get out of the investment. So I actually never lose. And maybe, sure, maybe a couple people, take the hit. But at the end of the day, no, like if your company goes bankrupt, I probably sold out at maybe a 10% loss, maybe a 20% loss. Okay, I lost a little bit of money, but I didn't lose a company. I lost this thing, and to be honest with you, like if you're talking about the super rich, they didn't need that money, so they didn't really lose anything. They lost a number in an account that they don't need to live off of. Went from here to here. And then in 2 more years, it'll be back up to here. So they didn't really lose anything either. But I digress. So game theory. So what I keep seeing is, these companies keep making very finite decisions. Okay, you'll see this a lot with, actually, cell phones is the one that really pops into my head. When you look at your cell phone, there's a lot of things you don't like about it. Okay, and I know there's a little bit of opinion, but here's an example of like advertising. Okay, so maybe you open up an app and there's a bunch of ads. Okay, now I do understand that there's a cost associated. So if you were like, well, I want that for free, and and the ads are the cost of that. Okay, that kind of makes sense. But what you're going to see is the ads will keep getting more and more intrusive and more invasive, okay, and more probably deceitful, until you stop using the app. Now, if that was my app, why would I ever want you to do that? And the answer is because the money they make in the short term is more important to them than the long-term use of their app, because they'll just go, we'll scrap that app and then we'll make a new one. Actually, you see this a lot in the video games too. EA Sports has been getting lit up right now because they're trying to do all these microtransaction concepts and growths into their ideas, because they make more money. When you release a game at $60, okay, you make X, maybe I don't really know the profit margin on there, but let's say it's 10%, whatever, or you do a bunch of microtransactions, guy plays over 2 years, and they put in 120 or is the average. So you doubled your money. Okay. So, doubling the money, but it's like, what about the value of the product? Okay. Remember when that was important, when the way you were successful, the Fords, I don't know, car industry pops up in my head, but steel industry before that, where you created a great product. You found innovative ways, UPS to get it out there. Okay. Internet, whatever, like, where you were actually creating life-changing value, whereas now the trend is the opposite. I don't care about the value. I want just enough value, to get you to download my app, and then I'm going to destroy my app. If you guys want a great example, because this one has burned my britches for a while, let's look at Hulu. So Hulu was originally launched as a platform, and they just went out. It was a free platform where you could go out and they had partnerships, with all these other, CBSs, NBCs. They're like, listen, after you air your episode, a week later, we want to stream the content, and very quickly, like, there was like the free app, and then there was the 99 cents, which was without advertisements. Okay. Now, so they built up a user base. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Why? Because people liked that product. Okay. Then fast forward, the next thing, and then it went up to like, it wasn't free, and then there was like the $3.99 and the $5.99, and now we're up to like it's $10. I think with advertising is what, geez, $5 now, and without it's like 10. So wait a minute, it was free, and you were successful at free. Okay. Now, yes, there's a little component here of free market economics where you say, yeah, but, the market, people were willing to pay 10 and we were only charging 1. So we were, not being intelligent. Okay, cool. And I don't actually want us to focus on the price. What I want us to focus on is the quality of what you're getting. So the quality of Hulu has gone down significantly. Okay. It used to be free. It used to be, like $1, no advertisements. Now advertisements are freaking everywhere. The content in general is getting, beaten back up as all these other people are taking their content back. And the only way that makes sense is if Hulu is taking too much money. Okay, because if it was cheaper for me to just let Hulu do it with their existing platform, like say I'm Disney, I would just let them do it. Okay, if it was cheaper. But if it's cheaper for me to make a whole new division of my company to do what you're doing because you're charging me so much or taking so much, like, that's insane, okay? And then, if you don't think I'm telling the truth, go look at how much they're making. And you're like, what? Something like $68 billion last year? What the hell? All right, so, anyway, so the key here, though, fundamentally, is that short-term goal with a winner or a long-term, okay? And the difference when you shift from a finite to infinite game is morals, values, and what sometimes in the business world we call ethics, right? Whoa! So if you look at, if your, gut reaction to like politics in Washington is, man, there's too many liars, it's all corrupt. Sounds like you're playing the wrong game. If you're like, big corporations, why would you poison your society, big, tobacco and lie and say, oh, they're good for you. Cigarettes are great for you, for 20 years. Why would you do that? Because you're playing the wrong game. Okay. Because guess what? Your kids have to live here. Tomorrow you have to live here, blah, 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 blah. So does that make sense? We're playing the wrong game. Now, here's the important part, though. Who's playing the wrong game? We could say a corporation. We could say a politician, in Washington. Maybe it's local, whatever, leadership. But guess what? Those leaders are the people that live next door to us, or maybe it's you, okay, or maybe it's me, okay? So it's us. We're playing the wrong game. We are destroying our earth, We're changing it, would be a better way to say it, okay? These have consequences and costs. And if your idea is, well, not for me, like, holy cow, you're a bad person. And I strongly suggest you work on that for a while. Okay? Now, if you are a little bit more progressive and want to, really make an impact on some of these concepts, you got to understand, like, if you're not doing your part, well, then you can't ask somebody else to do their part, right? So it all starts with us. We've got to do the right thing. Okay? So, a little bit about game theory. So remember, finite, play to win. Well, there's no winners in the game of life because tomorrow you could lose it all. We're playing an infinite game. And the thing that defines the difference is those morals and values, okay, which goes back to the origin of really this talk, which is we need to establish our goals. If our goal is just to make money, maybe that's, we would approach that a different way, or a one way. If our goal is to create an awesome place to live with our family where my children can grow up and really, nail it, have a great life, that's a different goal. And money might be a component of that, but there's more things. We're like, I want my, wife to be able to walk down the street without getting murdered, or children, or mom and dad, grandpa, same concept, without being accosted violently. Okay, well, that's not money. That's a different thing. So we got to plan a different solution. Okay. So Brian here, Stacking Stupid, and check out for my next video.